Hello there, welcome back to Hydroponics Daily with me, Dr. Russell Sharp. Today we're talking about scrubbers. I say that in a funny way because if you're American, you've got no idea what I mean, because a scrubber is just a chemical or an implement or a person who cleans things. Whereas in the UK and Ireland, a scrubber is a woman with loose morals. Could be a bloke with loose morals, really, or a prostitute. You call them a scrubber. But we're talking about the former and a chemical scrubber in particular. And these are becoming more and more popular in commercial horticulture. So you have your inlet filters that keep out pests and some diseases. You have your outlet filters like activated carbon that keeps the smells from inside the grow room or the greenhouse from going outside. And then you can also have a chemical scrubber inside the greenhouse to get rid of chemicals in the air that you don't want. And this is particularly ethylene. Now, ethylene is a gas that is a hydrocarbon and it is a potent plant hormone. It's the one of a few gaseous plant hormones. And if you're growing tomatoes and things like this, then it's deleterious. It has negative effects on the crop, notably wilting and leaf drop when the plants would normally be perfectly healthy. It can help with ripening, but it normally gives the symptoms of a flooded plant, flower drop, fruit drop. So these are not good things if you're growing a tomato crop or a cucumber crop. So people make chemical scrubbers. And the way they do this is they get a potassium permanganate solution, and they bubble the air through this and clean the air. And potassium permanganate is a bright purple solution, and it's a potent oxidizing agent. And it's fairly safe as an oxidizing agent, as oxidizing agents go. So it's not a crazy dangerous. It's still hazardous, but it's bright purple. You can bubble air through it. You can keep it in a contained system, and so you don't get exposed to it. It can also be used for treating wastewater, but the solution shouldn't be used for treating hydroponic solution because it pulls sulfur and iron out of solution. So only use it for cleaning the air. And there are a couple of crops where I would advise you don't use a chemical scrubber. And those are hops and cannabis, because you want some ethylene there just to prevent hermaphrodization. If you were to remove all ethylene from the plant, say by removing it all from the air and using chemicals that prevented ethylene being sensed, like 1-MCP, is a chemical that's used in fresh produce in post-harvest to prevent bananas from ripening. Or if you use bacteria that had an enzyme called ACC deaminase, then that would get rid of ethylene as well. So there's three ways you can get rid of ethylene there I've just mentioned. One is a potassium permanganate chemical scrubber. Two is releasing 1-MCP into the grow room, which deactivates and prevents ethylene from being sensed by the plant. And the third is bacteria with that ACC deaminase enzyme that pulls ethylene out of the plant, prevents it from being synthesized. If you were to do that in hops and cannabis, then you would be prone to hermaphrodization, because to express the femininity and the female flowers in those plants, you need a small amount of ethylene. So tomatoes, chemical scrubbers, good idea. And where you would really look at using them is where you're using CO2 enrichment from a burner. And if that burner is old or it's not great combustion, then it could be producing ethylene as a contaminant rather than just pure CO2. And that's why the recommendations for burners in grow rooms, they always say go to 1000 ppm. Over that, it becomes uneconomical. You don't get the yield return, but you also start to get a lot of ethylene, and the levels of ethylene are raised too much, and you can get deleterious effects on the crop. Some crops are highly susceptible to ethylene, like tomatoes, and other plants will be completely resistant and won't show any symptoms. So if you think your plants are susceptible to ethylene, you can easily test that. But there's chemicals that you can put on that show ethylene. I mean, if they respond to a few ripe bananas around them as well that give off ethylene, then you know that they're going to be sensitive to ethylene. Potassium permanganate as well is being used as a chemical scrubber, where you have a pump pushing the air through and bubbling through. They're also used to impregnate the boxes that bananas are imported in, and that helps scrub the ethylene from the bananas and prevents their ripening, unduly premature ripening. You could also use it to remove some of the smells in the grow room as well. But as I say, you probably want to use activated carbon for that, for removing odours. So that's been the subject of today's Hydroponics Daily. Scrubbers! For more stupidity like this, please tune in again tomorrow. The listening figures are on the up. I'm really pleased. We are regularly in the top 100 home and garden podcasts in the US, in Canada, UK, Australia. And I think that's really good because we're now past Easter and we're really into the time when people should be growing outdoors. So to have a hydroponics podcast in the top 100, top 50, even top 30 is fantastic. So thanks very much for listening and see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much.